This episode is proudly sponsored by Lula Lend, your gateway to seamless funding approved in minutes. Need a business loan? Get up to 5 million Rand in business funding in as little as 24 hours with Lula. No collateral needed. Flexible repayment options, dedicated support from funding experts. Click the link in the description to get started. Now back on the episode.
Welcome back to another electrifying episode of What's Your Hustle podcast, powered by UKAE TV and Hustle Castle Academy. We are your premier bridge to unlocking new skills, sharpening your mindset, and providing content that will elevate whatever you're building, be it a thriving business or a specialized career path. Our mission is to connect you with the best minds so you can truly become your best. In this groundbreaking episode, we are absolutely thrilled to feature one of Africa's most dynamic and influential business moguls, global speaker, and venture capitalist, Vusi Thembekwayo. Prepare to have your entrepreneurial perspective fundamentally shifted. Vusi dives deep into the timeless principles of Think and Grow Rich, reimagining them for the modern entrepreneur. He boldly demolishes the dangerous idea of small business thinking, urging every aspiring and established entrepreneur to expand their vision far beyond the immediate problems they are trying to solve. This isn't just about scaling, it's about fundamentally reshaping your approach to wealth creation, innovation, and impact. Get ready to challenge your limitations and ignite a new level of ambition. In this episode, you'll discover Vusi Thembekwayo's powerful definition of what it truly means to be an entrepreneur, why small business thinking is a trap and how to break free from it, how to apply the core tenets of Think and Grow Rich to scale your enterprise beyond imagination, strategies for cultivating a mindset that seeks to solve bigger problems, leading to bigger rewards, actionable insights to fuel your ambition and drive unprecedented growth in your venture. Don't miss out on these essential insights from a titan of industry. Ready to redefine your entrepreneurial journey? Hit the like button if Vusi's insights ignite your ambition. Subscribe to the What's Your Hustle podcast for more game-changing content. Rule number 1, stop solving problems that don't exist and know where you are as an entrepreneur. Footnote, you don't want to stay a startup forever.
When my grandfather died, he had one spaza shop. ShopRite today generated 114 billion Rand worth of turnover in their last financial year. Same business, fundamentally different results. What's the problem? Solving a problem that doesn't exist. And so a part of the issue is we've been taught to think about businesses in small business thinking. So there are these stages of entrepreneurship, and I thought what we should do for the context of this conversation perhaps is to create a bit of a context around what are the various stages, in my view, of entrepreneurs. The first is the startup stage. Well, how do you know you're the startup stage? It's actually very simple. If you're the person creating the product, then branding it, then selling it, then meeting with a customer, then drawing up the invoice, then phoning the customer to collect on the invoice, and then going through the iterative process over and over again, you're at a startup stage. You're creating value and executing value all by yourself. There are intelligent ways to do this, by the way. If you hire somebody to assist you in the process, you're still at startup stage because you've not elevated your role in the business. Now, the issue is we've taught people, predominantly Black African people, that that's what a business is. And that's the problem, because they then get into the cycle of creating startups and they never migrate up the value chain. For those who think outside the box, they then create what we call survivalist businesses. This was my grandfather. So when I grew up, I started working in his shop, and then my siblings and I started working in a shop, and essentially what he'd done is it eliminated some of the roles he was performing and pushed them down to us, some of the more rudimentary functions. Stock taking, for instance. I cannot tell you how many Christmases I spent stock taking. I don't know Father Christmas. For me, he was baked beans, 1,000 bloody times over. But they then create these survivalist businesses. And how do you know you're survivalist? Actually very simple. If you have less than 18 months worth of working cash flow in your business at a point in time, you're a survivalist. You don't have the benefit of long-term thinking and long-term thought and long-term process planning. You're in the business all day to make sure you can buy tomorrow. Survivalists. Then there are those who migrate a little bit up. We call them success entrepreneurs in our business. Other people call them lifestyle businesses. These are the guys who make money so they can show you that they make money. You know them because you can see it. It's the car they drive, the suit they wear, and the place they live in. And that's not wrong, except that the aspiration is wrong. They build and create value only to display wealth rather than to create intergenerational wealth and pass it down. I would argue, and I've just come back from Ghana. I'm in Nigeria next week. I spend a lot of time in the continent. I would argue this is the single cancer holding back Africa today. That her leaders are captured more by the image of success rather than by creating it and building value for her people. And then finally, and this is the special breed of entrepreneurs, the growth entrepreneurs. These are the guys who are eager to create the business. They delay their own gratification, fire themselves as often as possible, make themselves redundant to the processes of the business, and yet have the most uncanny eye for detail. Growth entrepreneurs. So, now that we know the various stages of entrepreneurs, what do we need for entrepreneurship to really work and succeed? Well, my view is we need 6 things in the ecosystem. The first thing that we need is we need to make sure that in the ecosystem there is enough infrastructure. This is a real serious problem in the continent.
Rule number 2, study the science behind filling in the right gap in the market at the right time. Be early rather than late. Secondly, you must know 3 powerful qualities in order to be a successful entrepreneur. Without them, you can't make it.
So I knew what I wanted to do with my life very early on, and there was no doubt in my mind about what my life looked like. And so all I had to do was just do it. And the challenge was the just doing part. It took a while to get out of the starting blocks. Yeah. South Africa is a difficult country to do business, especially if you're not the kind of entrepreneur that we're used to in this country.
Yeah, right? And obviously it's identifying the gaps, and that's kind of what we as entrepreneurs, as South Africans, need to do, is find that gap. But how do you find that gap? I mean, there's so many things happening around us.
Yeah, so I mean, so the study of gapology, which is effectively what entrepreneurs do. It's interesting, you know, entrepreneurship is not something you can teach. People either have it or they don't, which is just the ability to come in and see opportunities where they don't exist. But so the question around how do you find the gap, it's typically around 3 things. It's you got to find something people are willing to pay for, that they need now, and they have the money to pay for it. The minute you tick those 3 boxes, you're in business. So it doesn't matter what it is. You could be selling water, you could be selling ice cream, you could be doing anything. The minute you understand those 3 things, you effectively have found a gap in the market, and you can start servicing that market.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you do know. Now, I mean, you were part of this Dragon's Den program.
Yes.
Identifying successful entrepreneurs and investing in those businesses. So, you know, how do you know when somebody is a successful entrepreneur? Obviously, their characters, their traits that you're looking for in people.
Yeah. So typically, for me, I look for 3 things. First thing I look for is somebody who's failed before. So I've never backed my money or put my money in somebody who hasn't tried something and hasn't failed. Because if you haven't failed, the theory of failure, you know, entrepreneurship is interesting. It's a lot like swimming. So if I gave you a textbook on how to swim and you read it for 3 years and then I took you and chucked you in the ocean, you'd sink. Because swimming isn't a theory thing, it's a practice thing. You have to do it to know how to do it. So the first thing I'd say is it's somebody who's failed. I love people who failed because they've proven they've tried something and that they know what's on the other side of not succeeding, which is this failure thing. The second is somebody who believes in themselves even when there's ridiculous odds to suggest it's not going to work. You know, I always say entrepreneurs are crazy. You have to be crazy to be an entrepreneur. You got to believe you're going to make money month end, which often you're not. You got to believe you can compete with big companies, which often you can't. You got to believe you can reach all your customers, which often you won't. And you have to believe you can do so cheaply and cost effectively and make a profit, which in the early days you probably won't do. If you don't believe those 4 things, you're not going to succeed as an entrepreneur. So you've absolutely got to be certifiable, absolutely crazy. And then the third thing is just people who are passionate. Like, you got to love what you do. Because I remember in the early days, the only thing that fed me was my passion. There was no money at the end of the month. In fact, there was too much month at the end of the money. So you just got to be passionate. You got to love what you do.
Yeah, I love that. Too much month at the end of the month. Because I've been in a situation.
Rule number 2, study the science behind filling in the right gap in the market at the right time. Be early rather than late. Secondly, you must know 3 powerful qualities in order to be a successful entrepreneur. Without them, you can't make it.
So, entrepreneurs in the room, if we are to build businesses that are going to be globally relevant and scalable, what are the things we might think about doing? Where might we start? What are the to-dos? What is necessary? I will start here by saying something that I imagine nobody else has said in the gatherings in this room here today or in the panel sessions, which is this: build a personal brand. Now notice, I didn't say anything technical. I said nothing about what school you should go to, which new certificate you should get, whether or not you should learn about technology. I said build a personal brand. And here is the reason why you want to build a personal brand. A personal brand in 2024 is arbitrage. It gets your head well above the parapet. It gets you noticed, it gets you seen, and it creates a traffic of opportunities that flows to you and not the inverse. When you have built a personal brand, your phone rings, you're not the one making phone calls. When you have built a personal brand, when you're sitting in a balance of probabilities where you either could or could not get funding, could or could not get that meeting, could or could not make an appearance at the conference, it is your personal brand that marches your name just slightly over the line. So building a personal brand then is not just about getting a number of followers on social media or being an influencer. It's about being so deeply technical in what you do that you are considered a subject matter expert in your field. And I suspect that this is a challenge for many of us. Many of us know what I like to call the virus of just enough. Just enough that you can get by. Just enough that you can appear an expert. Just enough. In today's world, the internet has made the world flat. Today, you can hire people and resources in any part of the world and connect to them with nothing more than a www address. I think about my own business. Let me give you guys a personal story in a sense, if I can. Until 2020, my entire business was fully South African. Today, my head of brand is in Ghana. My head of protocol, who's with me here today, is from Zambia. My head of sales and marketing is Filipino. My head of finance is from Pakistan. My head of IT is from India, where I just was a fortnight ago. And these are just the team members I can think about at the top of my head. The internet has completely flattened borders. So the first thing I said here is build a personal brand. The second thing I want to add here, the most important skill you will develop as an entrepreneur is not the ability to raise capital or put together a fantastic deck. It isn't even the ability to do a market testing and come to an MVP fairly quickly. The most important ability you can develop as an entrepreneur and as an executive is the ability to communicate and communicate effectively. For those of us who have not yet learned this, it's a fundamental skill I would like for you to begin to invest in yourself. Learning to communicate. And learn to communicate not off the base of what you want, but off the base of what you offer to the rest of the world. It'll open more doors for you than you might even imagine. It'll bring you into the rooms you didn't even know existed. It'll get your name mentioned in quarters of powers and influence where you didn't know somebody can make a difference for your life. So learn to communicate effectively. The third thing I want to say, mind your words. I speak in particular to the younger people in the room here today. There are some of us, certainly when I was younger, I had the opportunity to be young and stupid. In other words, I could say things that don't follow me today. I'm 39 now, so I'm 5 to 40, which means I'm old enough to be analog and young enough to be digital. For the younger people in this room, you don't have that benefit. You are communicating your thoughts, your ideas, your values from the earliest digital devices that you're connected to. And what you don't understand, and I say this with as much humility as I possibly can, what you don't understand is that the internet never forgets. The thing you said when you were 15, lying in your bedroom, looking up into the stars or at the ceiling, is the thing that will follow you when you're 35 trying to raise capital.
And that wraps up another incredible episode of the What's Your Hustle podcast. We hope Vusi Thembekwayo's powerful insights on thinking bigger and truly growing rich as an entrepreneur have ignited a new spark in your journey. What was your biggest takeaway from Vusi's message today? Share your thoughts, moments of inspiration, and any questions in the comments section below. We love hearing from you and fostering this community of ambitious hustlers. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video if it helped you think bigger. Subscribe to the What's Your Hustle podcast for continuous inspiration, expert advice, and game-changing conversations that will help you elevate your mindset and your ventures. It's Brian, your AI host. Bye-bye, bye-bye.